Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into it. All right, folks, the NCAA has said uncle, and I'm quite happy about it. Also, the 2025 schedule has come out. You can't be serious.
You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious!
Yeah, McEnroe's right, but we'll get into that as well. But first, let's get into this NCAA deal. This is an A to Z Sports by Craig Smith. It says the NCAA fails to file appeal of preliminary injunction order by the deadline in its lawsuit with Tennessee and Virginia. And so basically the NCAA, it's pretty obvious. They see the handwritings on the wall. The judges pretty much already told them they're going to lose the case anyway. But with this temporary restraining order, if they go file an appeal, guess what? They got to spend a ton of money on attorneys. There's going to be unbelievable number of billable hours, and they're not going to win it in the appellate court. Says it looks like the injunction against the NCAA isn't going anywhere. They did not file a notice of appeal. The federal judge who had entered the order on February 23rd, granting the motion for a preliminary injunction against the NCAA being able to go after Tennessee and any other school for that matter. And they had exactly 30 days from the date of that entry of the order to file a notice of appeal. And as of March 26th, there's been no notice of appeal on the docket. No appellate case number appears in the federal court system. It says, as such, the NCAA's time to appeal has passed. So they did not proceed with a timely filing of a notice of appeal. And Craig Smith is a former litigator who practices a member of the bar in the Eastern District of Tennessee, which is where this judge presides. So it looks like the NCAA has maybe learned their lesson. Now, as you know, I gave them an opportunity to settle this early on, which they chose not to, but this was my offer.
Before we let you leave, your commander must cross that field, present himself before this army, put his head between his legs, and kiss his own arse.
Now, it appears they're not going to fully do that, but it does sound like they're not willing to go forward. Now, we'll continue on with this until they completely lose this case and finishes them off with the NIL. But I am glad to see they didn't appeal. They've at least got some sense at the NCAA. Maybe this punch in the face by the courts has gotten their attention, which it needed to. This has been a ridiculous situation. As you know, they were going after Ncaa Iamaleava over a plane ride. He got a plane ride from California to Knoxville, and they were going to try to penalize the school and him for that malfeasance. And as I've said many times, I guess he was supposed to hitchhike. I don't know. Most kids don't have thousands of dollars for a plane ride from California to Knoxville and then back, sitting in their back pocket. So I don't have any problem with an NIL collective paying for that, or the school for that matter. I mean, they're the ones inviting him, but the NCAA brutally punished Florida State over their offensive coordinator giving a guy a ride to an NIL meeting that he wasn't even in. So they obviously had their little plan for the Vols, and they were going to hit us with repeat offender so they could really hammer us and make an example out of us. How'd that go for you? How'd that go for you, NCAA?
Oh, who won that fight anyway?
Yeah, it didn't go so well, now did it? So anyway, hopefully we won't have to deal with much more of this. At some point, this case will come to a conclusion, and I think we'll easily win, and we shouldn't hear any more crap from them. But we'll see. If they want to continue on with this, we'll just keep whooping their butts, and that's just how it'll be. We'll see if Charlie Baker has enough sense not to do that. He seems like a reasonable guy. Maybe he just got in over his skis a little bit on the front end of this. You know, he just took over the NCAA. And, you know, maybe this will get him calmed down a little bit. Now let's get into the 2025 SEC football schedule. I almost can't believe this crap. And this is on CBS Sports. We pretty much knew they were going to stick with the 8-game conference format for 2025. Now, Greg Sankey has been really pushing for 9 games. He's really upset him. Nick Saban got him all tore up about it because even Saban was against it, which pretty much hamstrung him. Once Saban came out, it was over.
When E.F. Hutton talks, people listen.
Yeah, he put the E.F. Hutton on him. But what it boils down to, I don't know why Sankey is so desperate for that 9th game, because here's the thing, ESPN's not going to pay you more money for that extra game. And the problem with it, and every coach knows this, every athletic director knows this, if you add a 9th SEC game, guess what's going to happen? You're going to have less teams in the 12-team playoff. You're going to have to fire more coaches because they're not going to reach at least a 6-game win total, Because when you add an SEC game, what if it's Alabama or Georgia or Tennessee or Florida? It's going to be a good team. You're not going to get Vanderbilt.
How dare you?
Sorry, Vanderbilt. I try to take it easy on you. It's just not easy. Y'all need to start winning some games. But anyway, you're not going to get Vanderbilt every time. You're going to get a good school that can whoop you. And when you do that, every head coach knows what's going to happen. So it doesn't really make any sense. Now, Greg Sankey's the type of guy, and I give this guy some grief, but he also does some really good things. He really takes care of the SEC, and he protects it. And if you're a member of the SEC, he protects you. But if he doesn't get his way, he's kind of a bully. So what he's doing right now is he's bullying the conference to give him 9 games because that's what he wants. He just really, really desires it. And he's not going to get it easily. So what he's doing is he's punishing the schools. That's what he's up to. And let's take a look at what I'm talking about. And what they're going to do, they're going to replicate the 2024 slate, but with home and away games flipped. So you're going to play the exact same 8 teams that you played in 2024 and 2025. Now, why would he do that? Because he wants to let you know, hey, if I don't get 9 games, I'll just stick you in this rut and you'll play the exact 8 games from now on until I get what I want. That's what that is. That doesn't make any sense. There are 16 teams now in the SEC. You shouldn't play the exact same 8 teams 2 years in a row. That's stupid. It's ridiculous. Texas is now part of the SEC. I would fully expect to play Texas at least one time in 2 years, or at least have an opportunity to do that. And that would have been very interesting, especially with Peyton Manning and Arch Manning and all that kind of stuff. It would have been a very interesting game. So we won't be doing that. We're stuck with our same 8 teams. And for the Vols, that's Arkansas, Georgia, Oklahoma, Vanderbilt, Alabama, Florida, Kentucky, and Mississippi State. Only we just flip. We'll be playing these teams at home and these teams away, which we're doing the opposite in 2024. And part of it has to do with some of the other other power conference, Big Ten. They've moved to a 9-game conference format, and I think that's probably why he wants to go to a 9-game format. Now, I'm going to say this. The Big Ten is a fine conference. It really is. It's not quite equal to the SEC only because they're weaker at the bottom half. They're strong on top, but they're weaker in the bottom half. And it's easier to go to 9 games when you've got Indiana, when you've got Maryland, when you've got Rutgers, when you've got Illinois, Iowa, who we beat 35-0, by the way, and they won their side of the conference, which just, it kind of gives you an idea. Minnesota, Nebraska, which has not been very good, Northwestern, and so on and so forth. I mean, it's a lot easier to do that when our conference has got Georgia and Alabama, LSU, on down the line. There's so many good teams. Even our bad teams are good. So it's easier to go to 9 games. I'm sure I'll get a bunch of comments from Big Ten folks. How dare you? How you can't do that to us? We're just as strong. You're becoming a very strong conference, especially with the additions that you made last year. But you're not quite to the level of the intensity of the SEC. We've just got better talent is the difference, really. And that's because our recruiting footprint is better. That's just the truth. It doesn't mean our schools are better. It just means we have more talent down here. It's just kind of how it is.
I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
So going to 9 games is going to cause a lot of problems for the SEC teams. It just will. So they don't want to do it unless they're going to get a ton of money for it. And ESPN is not in a financial situation to do that. So again, Greg Sankey is kind of taking his ball and going home until he gets what he wants. And that's kind of what bullies do. And like I said, he's our bully. So I don't get particularly mad at him because when he bullies for you, it actually works out pretty good. But when he bullies against you, it kind of sucks.
This sucks.
Yeah, it really sucks.
So anyway, that's what's going on. That's why we have a 2025 identical schedule to what we had in 2024. It's because he's not happy with us for not going to a 9-game conference. Don't get it twisted. That's what it is. So we had some good news, some bad news in this video. The NCAA screaming uncle. I'm glad to see that. The 2025 schedule, I mean, it's not the end of the world, but I don't particularly care for that. I enjoy playing other teams in the SEC. I think it's more fun that way. It kind of makes you feel like you're still in the East and West, and I was looking forward to playing other teams. So anyway, it is what it is. If you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Let's continue to cover all this college news. If you've not subscribed, it's on your right, my left. Hit this little button. I would appreciate it. Costs you not a dime and helps me out. And right over here is the most recent video YouTube thinks you'll enjoy based on your viewing history. We'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.